All right, here we go, part 2 of substitution. And this time we're going to talk more cash here. So in the last assignment, we looked at that dollar bill and said, hey, it's equal to 2 quarters and 10 nickels. But what if instead of having just $1 bill, we have $13? We have a $10 bill and 3 $1 bills. While it might be better to keep the dollar bills, right, you could replace or substitute a bunch of coins for each one of those $1 bills. And you can see that down here we've done some substitution, and we have a couple of quarters and some nickels for each one of those $3 bills. So here we have $1 bill represented, $2 bills, $3 bills. Okay, so yeah, it might be kind of annoying to have all those coins, but you still have 13 bucks. All right, and this is kind of what we're going to get to today. If you look at these equations here, you can see that these are quite a bit, sorry, I'm looking ahead. These are different than what we saw in the last lesson. So we only have one equation that says y equals. The other equation is in standard form. And the way that we're going to deal with this is we're going to say, hey, that y is kind of like the $1, and the x minus 6 is kind of like all those coins. And if you look down here, the 3x is kind of like the $10 bill from up above, and the 5y is kind of like the $1 bills. So we're going to replace the y with the x minus 6, kind of like we did up above with all those coins. It's not really working very well for me, but you know what? Let's just do it and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we know that the y is equal to x minus 6. And down here we have a y. That means we can take that x minus 6 and replace the y with it. So let's just do that. So we have 3x plus 5. Now instead of writing y, I'm going to put parentheses x minus 6. Okay, so this is where the y used to be. So when we do that, something cool happens. We are left with an equation that only has x's in it. The y's are gone. And that's a good thing, because if we have a single variable, we can solve this equation for x. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that y and that arrow. So I have to do a little distributing here with that 5. So I'm going to distribute the 5 to both of those things. So I have 3x plus 5x minus 30 equals 34. And now we have to think back to first quarter when we had variables on one side of an equation. We had to combine like terms. Okay, so we have to combine like terms here. So we have 8x minus 30 equals 34. And then just a two-step equation from here, we're going to add 30 to get x by itself. So bring down that x. The 30s cancel. So we end up with 64 over here. And then we'll divide by 8 to get x equals 8. All right, and we're not done yet. We have to find y. And in this case, there is a better equation to use for finding y. And it's that one right there. If you try to substitute into the bottom one, you're going to find the answer, but you're going to do a lot more work to do it. So what I would suggest you do is always look for one that's y equals or x equals, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. So we have y equals x minus 6. And all I have to do is replace that x with the 8. So we have y equals 8 minus 6, or y equals 2. Okay, so there we go. Whoops. Keep doing that. All right, so my answer is, or I think my answer is, 8, 2. Okay, and I can check my work, and this time, I mean, I can look at the first one and say 2 equals 8 minus 6. And I just did that. So I'm kind of pretty confident that it works in the top equation. Okay, so let's check the bottom one just to make sure. So we have 3x plus 5y equals 34. So we have 3x plus 5y equals 34. And my solution is 8, 2. So I'm going to put an 8 where the x is and a 2 where the y is. And this is really important to use parentheses too, because if you don't, it's going to look like 38 plus 52. And that's not good. Okay, so we have 3 times 8 is 24. 5 times 2 is 10. 24 plus 10 is 34. So it checks off. That means it works. So we're good there. All right, let's do another one. Okay, so again, we have a y, and it's equal to that. And so I'm going to replace that y with it. So we have x minus 3 times 2x plus 6 equals 17. Okay, so I'm distributing a negative 3, so I have x minus 6x minus 18 equals 17. And then I have to combine those first two terms. So remember, that's a 1x. So 1x minus 6x is negative 5x minus 18 equals 17. And then I'll add 18 to both sides. So we end up with negative 5x. The 18's cancel, equals 35. And then I divide by negative 5 to get x equals negative 7. Okay, and again, always pick that equation that says y equals or x equals, because it's going to be easier. So we have y equals 2x plus 6. So plug in that negative 7 with parentheses. So then we have y equals negative 14 plus 6. So y is equal to negative 8. All right, so we think it's negative 7, negative 8. And how confident are we? Well, I don't know. Let's check it out. Let's just check the second one. So we have negative 7 minus 3 times negative 8 equals 17. Oh my goodness, lots of negatives. Okay, so the second two are both negatives, so that's going to turn into a positive 24. And then negative 7 plus 24 is 17. So that one worked. All right, so we can be pretty confident in our answer there. Okay, you have one to do on your own. And when you're done with that one, start the video back up and we'll do a couple more examples for you. All right, the next two examples, you'll notice that instead of being y equals, now we have x equals. And y equals and x equals, we treat them exactly the same way. But in this case, since we have an x and it's equal to that, we're going to replace the x down in the lower equation. So we're going to have 5 times 7y minus 4 minus 3y equals 12. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did, except this time we're replacing the x instead of the y. All right, so if we distribute, we have 35y minus 20 minus 3y equals 12. And now this one, the combining of the like terms is a little harder because they're not next to each other. So in this case, we have 35y minus 3y, so that's 32y minus 20 equals 12. I'm going to add 20 to both sides. So 32y equals 32. So that means that y equals 1. Nope, don't want to do that. All right. So now, again, just like the previous two, always go for the one that says x equals or y equals when you're finding the other variable. So in this case, we have x equals 7y minus 4. Whoops, that's not a 4. And then we plug in a 1 for y. So then we have 7 minus 4, or x is 3. So we have 3 and 1. And there's no space to check my work. That means I'm going to do it on a piece of paper off to the side. Always check your work. It'll make you sleep better at night, knowing you have the right answer. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, so here we go. Again, x equals that. I'm going to replace that x right there. So we have negative 7 times 11 plus 2y minus 2y equals negative 13. A lot of people forget that one right there. They substitute into the parentheses and then they forget to put the rest of the equation. So be careful. Don't lose anything. Make sure you look up at your original equation and say, do I have the negative 7? Yep. Do I have the minus 2y? Yep. Do I have equals negative 13? Yep. All right. So everything's there. So we have distribute, so we get negative 77 minus 14y minus 2y equals negative 13. Wow, everything's negative. We need a little more positivity in our lives. Okay, so I'm going to combine those two things. Negative 77 minus 16y equals negative 13. Everything's negative. Ooh, there's a trick I could show you to get rid of that, but we won't do it. Maybe you already know it. Let's see here. So I'm going to add 77. So that cancels. Negative 16y equals, whoa. Sometimes you might need a calculator, but this one's 64. Okay, and then we divide by negative 16. Wow, this one's got some challenging division and subtraction. So this is negative 4. No, I bumped the screen. I can't do. There we go. All right, so I think the y is negative 4. And that means I'm going to go up to the x plus 11. No, x equals 11. Even teachers make mistakes. So I'm going to plug in my negative 4 into that. This is kind of, I'm right up next to the edge. X equals 11 plus 2 times negative 4. So I can simplify and get negative 8 or minus 8. So x equals 3. So we have 3, negative 4. And again, I don't have any space, but that shouldn't stop me from checking my work. I'm going to do it off to the side here. All right, you have 1 to try on your own. And again, with Schoology, make sure you get these 2 answers in Schoology, and if you have any questions, please let me know.